keep me from putting the mask in. All right, but if I had everybody's attention, we welcome everybody. Andrew, our plant board, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think cable 10. Can you hear us, cable 10? Andrew, you got it?
Yep, we're ready.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It just says mute. We're muted. Okay. Good afternoon. This is the Franklin County Fiscal Court video teleconference, our regular meeting, September the 1st, 2022. And we welcome everybody. We're first going to be led by prayer from Pastor Stephen Fincher from the St. Paul United Methodist Church. Pastor Fincher, welcome and thank you for being here. You've been here before, and we're so grateful that you're here again. Thank you.
Thank you all.
And
for
Marty
doing what you
Booth is
do.
going to have an extra prayer because she is one of your parishioners, I understand.
Squire Booth is awesome. Love Marty.
Yes.
So let's pray, and I'll try to keep it short and sweet. Lord Jesus, thank you for this fiscal court. God, thank you for Judge Executive and these magistrates. Lord, we ask that you would just go before this meeting. I pray, Holy Spirit, that you would settle in this place. Lord, that you would give us cooperative spirits. Lord, that you would give this team ideas. God, that you would lead us in what is best for this community. So God, thank you for these leaders. Thank you for those who will be speaking and presenting tonight. We just ask that all things would work together for good and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you too as well.
I get to leave. Y'all have fun doing that.
The next item of business, Andrew, go ahead and do the pledge, and then let's do everybody please stand for the pledge. And Zay, a second.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Andrew, we need to do it again, Andrew. Turn up, please.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Zay, from Second Street. The next piece of our agenda, I want to take a moment to think about someone that was appointed by Bob Herod in April of 1986 to the Farmdale Water Board. A good friend of ours, a good man, a man that has served for 36 years on the water board, who passed away last week, Clifford Tolles. Want to say condolences to his wonderful wife Dorothy and his family. We hope God's prayers and send God's prayers and thoughts to all of them. And most importantly, I know you're in a good place, Clifford, but you have been so good to our community. We thank you for that, for all that you've done.
I reiterate that. He's a good man.
Okay. The next item on the agenda, I need Susan in here. Is Susan? Susan Lawrenson?
Yes,
Would you
yes.
please come in here for a moment, quickly? Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't say, I'm being kind of secretive, because if I say something, she won't come in here, so just bear with me, y'all. Hang in there. All right,
I didn't bring anything with me.
you don't need anything. Just stand right there. Mr. Bonner.
You wanna come up with me?
I will. Yes, sir.
I'll make this short and
You're
sweet.
taking me to jail?
No, man.
Wait a minute. I get that,
Homemade rolls?
that get out of jail free pass here.
So I was contacted by former jailer Ted Hammermeister, and he had this idea, and he worked it all for us, and then I got voluntold to present it. 4 past jailers, James Kemper, Ted Hammermeister, Rick Rogers, and myself, wanted to show how much we appreciate the job that you had done as our treasurer and kept us out of trouble. For the last 3 or 4 years that I've been a part of the jail, you have been a tremendous asset to us at the jail, and you're going to be deeply missed. So we wanted to present you with a plaque from the Franklin County Regional Jail and the past jailers, and it reads, "With our greatest appreciation, we hereby present Susan Lawrenson for your unwavering support." It's being there. Unrelenting guidance that helped in leading our path to success. You are being honored with much appreciation and gratitude, presented by jailers James Kemper, Ted Hammermeister, Rick Rogers, and Jake Bonner.
Hey.
I'm going to put it back in there.
You gonna get out of jail free key with that? Card and everything?
I'm
Monopoly
not a
card and
judge.
I am, you do.
Thank you very much, Dave.
You're welcome. You've been a great asset to us, and we appreciate you.
Really, really, really.
Thank you. You will be missed.
Thank you.
There's a. I didn't know
Thank you, Susan. I didn't say anything,
Yeah.
and you know why, because I knew you wouldn't come in here if I
like
said
to be
it.
prepared, have my material ahead of time, and I wasn't sure what it was gonna be. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
she
you.
gets it on
Thanks,
over
Jake.
here.
Thank you all. Y'all have a great holiday.
Guess what?
See ya.
Okay.
I gotta go with him.
Go on the lake.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Franklin County Public Library District tax rate. We have Mano Shanker, Board Treasurer, Carolyn Lynch, President, and Gene Rorick here to discuss your tax rate. This is just a presentation. You all present your tax rate to us. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I just wanted to say we met on August the 4th, as the budget committee met, and we looked at everything the DOR had sent us, and we decided to go with the compensating rate. And then the following Tuesday on August the 8th, we met as a board and we approved that.
Okay, go ahead, and I've got.
We just need to turn the fund in and the hallway down a little bit.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, deciding on the compensating rate, it's not just that it's the first one in the column. It's that we looked at the past and found that, last year when DOR gave us the numbers and they gave us a forecast, the forecast was within $10,000 what we actually made. So we felt really comfortable with accepting the compensating rate and looking at our budget, that it fulfills all our budgetary needs.
And
And-
it's actually less.
Okay, I was getting ready to say,
Yes.
most
it's actually-
importantly to the public is it less?
It is. It is
Well, the
lower.
compensating rate, of course, yeah, it
Yes,
is less.
it is
but of
lower
course
than the
yeah,
rate last
But
year.
the dollar amount, of course, is more
Yeah.
by 3
You
points.
get more money but less tax.
Less
That's right.
It's a win-win.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, okay, any questions first of all, thank you all for being here, and thank all 3 of you for your service on the board and making our library such a good facility for our community. Are there any questions from the Fiscal Court towards the library board? Any questions? All right, well, thank you for your presentation. Keep up the good work. Thank you all. The next item is we have a presentation by the County Extension Board for the tax rate, and that's Adam Lowenberger. I believe he's on Zoom. Is that correct? Andrew, do you have Adam on?
I don't see Mr. Limburger in our participant list, Judge. I do see Miss Mattingly from the health department is with
Okay,
us,
we'll get
but I
her,
do not.
we'll get her in a second. When and if Adam comes on, did you send him a link, Andrew?
I did.
Tamara did, okay. If he comes on, let us know. The next item on the agenda is a road department facility update from Mr. Pelosi. We're in the process of building a new road department, and I thought the court and the general public ought to hear and see what is transpiring as we move forward with the new road department building. Thank you, Mr. Pelosi. Welcome. Glad to see you.
Good, how are you all?
We're well, thanks.
Pass these out real quick.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we've gotten this project kicked off last couple months, and we've had several meetings with John Mitchell and his staff and the road committee. And so what you've got in front of you is 4 sheets. We've got an existing conditions, a conceptual site plan, an architectural rendering, and a concept level floor plan of the new garage. So just to kind of walk you through how we started, we took an inventory of what the road department facility currently has, and kind of how their operation runs and what they'd like to see in their new program and where their greatest needs are, and evaluated the site, figured out what our constraints and limitations were. We actually started with looking at the existing large maintenance building, which is located in the center of the site, with an eye towards possibly renovating it, preserving the steel structure and stripping it down and putting a new floor and rebuilding it from the ground up short of the frame. But we've ruled that out from a codes compliance issue. That building was built in 1957, and it's been used as primarily a storage building. So getting it up to current codes, we ruled that to be infeasible. So what we're looking at now is demolishing that structure. So if you're looking at this existing conditions map on the first sheet, in the lower right-hand corner is labeled office with basement. That's the existing administrative office. And then just to the north of that is an existing mechanics garage. A small building in the back right is a break room. There's a salt storage canopy. And then the large building in the center is the storage barn. So we plan to keep the existing administrative office building where it is. We're going to demolish a portion of the existing mechanic garage and keep the primary structure and steel frame. Demolish the small break room building in the back, the salt storage shed and the canopies around it, and the central building. And what you're seeing now is our first draft. What we're going to need to go back to the road department and to the staff and the committee level and get some feedback on this plan before we move into detailed design. But we are at a point now where we're going to pass this to Codell, who's the construction manager for the project, and they're going to start coming up with a budget level cost estimate for everything that you see. And we've already started talking about potential phasing depending on where the budget number lands. And I can walk through kind of that idea of how we might phase this.
Does the discussion that you're sharing with us now, does that include an opportunity to continue to work? Because we're going to have to do A and B together.
It's going to have to. So if you flip to the second page, which is our colored site plan here, you can see the 2 buildings in the lower right corner that we're saving, and then a new program. So one way that we've thought that this could work would be to start by demolishing the salt storage barn that's in the middle of the site. It really kind of opens up the space, and once we get that out of the way, and there's some existing overhead power lines that are in the way. We've met with the plant board and talked about methods that we can relocate those underground, eliminate any low wire hazards with dump trucks, and just clean up the site from a utility standpoint. So once we have the salt storage out of the way, we can build these 2 new salt storage structures on the back. What we're considering right now is a pony wall building, which is basically a concrete slab with concrete sides and a steel or aluminum structure that's rounded with a vinyl covering over it. Right now, the road department can store about 2,500 tons of salt, and we're looking to double that capacity to 5,000 tons of storage.
So may I
Yes.
ask another question?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
when you reinforce that concrete, so we all know that salt sitting on that, it's gonna eat right through it. Typically, there's rebar that runs through there to give it that structure. What's gonna be ran through the flooring so that when the salt does eat through the concrete, because we know it's going to, so we don't have to, put new steel through that? Or is that something, because aluminum's too soft to hold any weight,
Yeah,
so.
so where we're at right now is just a very conceptual, idea phase of how and what we need. The specific details of design
Okay.
specifications are gonna come much later. And we're gonna work with our structural engineers and architects and
Okay.
whole team to make sure that what we have is
Gotcha.
appropriate material
I'll hold
specified
it.
on the plan.
I'll hold all those till that time. Thank you, sorry.
You're welcome. No, anytime. Feel free to jump in. Yes. Squire Tracy.
Quick question, I see that you got the existing garage gonna be renovated for sign shop and storage. Knowing the type of, what shape that building's in, and then I see canopy storage down at the end. Are we not gonna have enough storage in the new building? Isn't it gonna be mezzanine type storage as well?
Well, so the program, the existing mechanic shop is a steel frame building. And we've gone through there with the architect and our structural engineer, and the steel structure itself is actually in very good condition. There's a lean-to portion on it that's off to the right or to the east, adjacent to the state garage, that we are proposing to demolish because that is kind of in a state beyond repair and we won't need that space. But with the sign shop being in the basement of the admin building today, we thought that would be a good place to relocate them to. Now, if at the committee level and in discussions with staff, if we decide when we get into the detail of the program of what's inside the new maintenance garage office building, that we want to work that sign shop program into there and just completely eliminate the existing mechanic building, that's certainly an option we can look at and consider. We just thought it's a really, the steel frame's in really good condition, and with the way that lead times are on new metal buildings, it might be worth just putting a new shell on it and a new floor in it and keeping it there.
It seems like to me it would be more feasible to put the sign shop in the new building. It'd have to be cheaper to put a sign shop in the new building when you're building a new building instead of ripping everything off the existing building and then turn around and putting new back on it.
And so when we go to the next step, when we reconvene with the road department committee, we plan on having budgetary pricing levels from pricing estimates from Codell, so we can start to have those discussions of evaluating what's the cost benefit of preserving an existing building and rehabbing it versus just putting everything in the new program. Because we've got plenty of site area available that if we needed to grow the footprint of the new building to accommodate some of that, we can do that.
That new building, I agree with you replacing that because it's in terrible shape. I always felt sorry for the road department having to work in it.
It has served its purpose, and it is time for an upgrade. That is absolutely right. It's been there for 50 years. Yes, sir. Squire Mullen.
Thank you. Two things. So has the current road department looked at this yet?
No, they have not.
Okay.
No,
So they haven't
that's
given
going to be our
input,
next step.
flow
We
traffic,
were asked
things like that?
to give just an update
Okay.
to Fiscal Court and what we've done up to this point and where we are. And our next step will be to reconvene with the committee and John Mitchell's team and present this to them and get their feedback.
One other question. So you said you're about ready to give this to Codell, the company we've hired. What kind of instructions have you given them as far as we're going to be looking like geothermal, how efficient we can build it long-term, solar, anything like that? Have you all gotten down the weeds yet?
We have not really set any kind of energy goals beyond the standard energy code, Kentucky Building Code. If that's something that we talked about a little bit during the programming and when we were scoping the job initially.
The road committee about geothermal as possible and some solar as possible too. We just talked about it, but we weren't there.
As of right now, we haven't been given any direction into, green building practices or LEED certifications or anything like that. But we can certainly look into it and evaluate, if it's worth exploring further.
All right, thank you.
The concept of the parking out here, doesn't look like there'll be enough room to run a truck and trailer in and out of that.
So what we've done, we've got a 40-foot drive aisle on the south face of that building. So what, John, and that was a
That's the
dimension.
wash, well, is that the wash bay you're talking
The
about?
wash bay, yeah, so we've got, if you look at the last sheet, there's a floor plan of the new building. And all of this is very, very conceptual. The intention of these drawings is to get feedback and start to move things around before we get into detailed design. So it is a pull-through wash bay, and we talked to John Mitchell, and he said, you know, the majority of his fleet could come through a pull-through bay and turn out into a 40-foot aisle and get back around the building, single axle trucks,
Yeah.
crew cab pickups and the like. For the occasional tractor trailer or truck and trailer, he said he could pull them in there and back them back out. We've got 135 feet behind the building.
The other thing, for Ann Northcutt really, there are grants out there for wash bays, and it may need to be separated or something. I don't know.
That'd be
I know the city got
good to
one
know.
for their wash bay.
That would be, I'm sure we would be willing to work with her on that, and Codell would probably like to know what, you know, if there was any funding mechanisms, that's certainly something we should explore.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So,
And I think that redoing that mechanics building would be feasible myself. It's something you have to look into.
Squire Booth?
Squire Booth.
The water flow, you taking that into consideration, I guess?
Yes, ma'am, at an early level, the site generally drains, if you're looking at the sheet, from right to left or east to west. So there's an existing drainage channel along the right side of Lewis Ferry Road. And where we're proposing an entrance, we would have to bridge across that swale. And what that will do for us is create an opportunity to put a detention pond in there with an outlet structure, and we could look at a water quality design for that, because you're gonna have a lot of, polluted runoff, if you will, from a facility like this, and then being able to impound it in this pond before it drains down to the creek below. Because right now, there's no stormwater management on site at all. There's a few drainage inlets that just pipe straight to the back of the site. So yeah,
Well,
we're
that's
certainly
what I
looking
was
at.
talking about, the creek in the back.
So we would be preparing a grading and drainage plan for this site that would drain everything into what's shown on the site plan as stormwater detention, the blue area adjacent to the road. And this brings up a point here. The county has acquired some property to piece together to make this parcel shape into what you're seeing here in the yellow. And the right-of-way along Lewis Ferry Road, for some reason, juts in 50 feet, so that's the interior yellow line. In conversations with Robert Hewitt, he has indicated to me that he thought we could work with the city, who is the owner of that right-of-way, and reclaim some of that right-of-way and get it pushed up to be more consistent with the existing right-of-way along the rest of Lewis Ferry Road. For whatever reason, this is the only property that has this 50-foot insert. So we're showing to use some of that space to do stormwater detention. And right now, it's a big drainage swell anyway, so we're not proposing to, capture it back to put a building or a parking lot, but just to do a water quality initiative. Yes?
Question, how are we looking on timeline? I feel like things are a little stagnant.
They
so-
have,
okay.
this was slow to get going because of the property issues.
Okay.
The survey was done by the county under a separate contract with a separate independent surveyor. And that was not delivered to us until a couple months after we got going under contract. And after having seen the survey and the property issues, there was a railroad right-of-way that ran through, which is behind the existing salt barn, which is probably the reason it is where it is, in the middle of the site. So there was a lot of consultation with real estate attorneys about the reversion rights of that right-of-way. But once we finally got the go-ahead to, yes, we can build on the right-of-way, that's going to be abandoned. And yes, the property acquisitions are going to close. We wanted to confirm what our property and project boundaries were going to be before we really jumped into design. So we've been working really for probably about a month and a half in earnest since we got the survey items cleaned up. And so now we're probably looking at 3 to 4 months before we would be at a construction document level.
So do you have some things set, like, you know, Codell has X amount of time to get numbers back to you and the road
Well,
department?
I've got Wes here with me from Codell. He's the project manager on their behalf. And we were looking at these drawings just before this meeting today, and my next step coming out of here is going to be to check back with Robert Hewitt and see how quickly we can reconvene with the committee. Because we'd like to either get feedback or buy-in on this concept plan,
Right.
so we can move it. And once we get that, we can move this into design development, detailed design, get the structural engineers going, and these guys can start pricing. And once we have those budget numbers, we can look at the phasing. The way they're going to price it out is price to do everything that you're seeing. And so the phasing that we've talked about in terms of how we would sequence this, a potential first phase could be demolish the existing salt barn, build the new salt barns and the vehicle storage building that's to the left of it. So that while the existing storage building and mechanic shop stay in operation. So once you get a new salt barn built, and those are engineered structures that go up pretty quick. What do you think the timeline on building one of those is?
3 weeks tops.
Yeah.
So we could get those out of the ground and a new storage barn up, and we're gonna look at either a possible pole barn or pre-engineered metal building. It's gonna come down to cost and codes on what type of building that becomes. But we're envisioning those as a non-occupied, storage only garage space.
Bob, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
What are your plans to do with the salt for 3 weeks while it would be exposed to the elements?
Well, I think that the way this lays out, Judge, would actually settle, I think they could build these new storage bins before the existing salt structure was demolished.
Okay, I thought you said you were going to
I
take
think
down
there's
the
enough,
salt
yeah, I
structure.
might have said that out of order, but the way we've got them situated on the site, we're gonna put these behind on the back side of the salt barns.
Then I misunderstood you. I thought you said you were taking it
Yeah,
down first.
I say have more room.
I am gonna ask one more question. Where is like the dry storage area for things like straw that needs to be separated from anything, because there's a lot of that
So,
you're gonna need?
right now, we're proposing a canopy storage on the back side of the central building. That would be 20 feet wide by 90 foot,
Just that's
90 by 20, so that's all covered canopy storage. And then we've got what we're showing as a material laydown yard where things like pipe and guardrail and
Yeah, but
posts.
you're gonna have corrugated pipe and you're gonna have drain culverts and, you know.
Right, so that's kind of what we're envisioning this laydown yard to be. Because right now, they have that type of material just kind of scattered around the perimeter, up against the tree line, and there's definitely a desire to kind of consolidate that and get it a little more organized. You know, there's racking systems that you can use to put pipe. I mean, some of the pipe they have out there is, you know, you could stand up and walk through it. It's 5-6 feet tall. But they have a lot of smaller diameter drainage pipe and concrete barrier rail, things like that. So we just kind of set aside a gravel lot that could be accessed from a couple different directions and have some maneuverability in there.
Is that beige, the gravel, beige color?
Yes, where it says material laydown yard. And then over on the top right corner, we've got 2 aggregate storage bins, which are basically just 3-sided concrete structures where you can put rock, topsoil, you know, tarp it over. And then those structures, sometimes you'll see them with a canopy over them. It's just a matter of what type of material you want to store in there and how they want to be used.
Okay, thank you.
Bobby, thank you and your team for everything y'all have done. So I guess the next move is road committee meeting.
Yes, so I will get with Robert and we will get that on the schedule hopefully here for mid-September. And we're going to work with Codell on getting a budget estimate for the whole thing. And then we can really start looking at how we want to phase it and what first phase construction document scope would include.
I would suggest you get some feedback from John before the road committee.
Yeah. The canopy storage is facing west, so you're gonna have weather coming in.
That's
That's a lot of that stuff has to stay dry.
Bob, one other, key part of this, and it may be too early. What are you thinking about for the surface of the road department? Because it's got about 4 different surfaces on it now: dirt, rock, blacktop, concrete.
I would think for the primary entrances and circulation areas, we're looking at asphalt. For the laydown area, we were probably thinking just a gravel yard with a perimeter concrete barrier around it. For the aggregate bins, and the salt bins will have concrete floors. New buildings would have concrete floors. And then John Mitchell had suggested that we show about a 40 by 40 concrete pad outside of the shop. He said because sometimes they like to pull vehicles out and work on them outside, and they want to do that on a concrete pad. So we've got, so all of the gray that you're seeing is proposed asphalt.
Dark
Cool.
gray.
Yes.
Cool.
So is there any permeable, and I think that's where the judge was going, is there any location for like a permeable material? Because I know there's,
the issue with permeable concrete and pavement, with the type of vehicles and equipment that operate, they're really incompatible. And, you know, if we wanted to look at not using asphalt and just leaving it as a gravel surface, you know, it's not, the zoning code doesn't allow it.
Yeah.
And it becomes a drain, you know, it erodes and ruts. And so we would probably be looking at a heavy duty asphalt pavement section.
thank you.
Well, the employee parking could be pervious or something.
Yeah, we could, if that's not a bad idea, if we wanted to carve out, you know, a couple thousand square feet. But we would really be looking for our primary
Where would you
runoff
do
treatment to be in the stormwater.
Where would you do the brush intake, you know?
So
Yard waste.
where that is, today, if you were to, this area where the pavement kind of, just north of the proposed aggregate storage bins,
Yeah.
there's kind of a gravel dirt ramp that goes down. That's really where we've got the edge of that pavement shown, and basically just maintaining that ramp down there where they dump that stuff. So that we're planning on just kind of keeping that how it is today, putting an asphalt apron to it and maintaining the grade.
Okay,
Good idea.
thank you.
Okay.
Anything
Any other
else?
questions for Mr. Pelosi? Hey, so if you'll get with Robert, well, I'm sure that Squire Tracy and Squire Moore and myself and Robert, we can all get together next week sometime as soon as you're available for the road committee to work with you.
That sounds great, and I will shoot these drawings to John Mitchell at your suggestion so that he's got a chance to digest them and have some feedback for us.
Okay, if there are no other questions, Mr. Pelosi, thank you.
Thank
Great
you all
work,
very much.
thank you, we're excited. Great beginning there.
Yeah, road department is where the magistrates
now
have
I
the
think
most contact with people.
Now I think we have Leon Berger on from the County Extension Office, and he needs to present, he wants to present the tax rate from the Extension Office. Mr. Leon Berger, thank you. Sorry we didn't catch you earlier.
We were having just a little bit of internet issues here, so I was trying to get those resolved to be able to get on here. Let me find my paperwork. There it is. I'm trying to find my copy across paperwork. So we were presenting our district board met last night to set tax rates. They have elected to go with the compensating rate. So that would change our real property tax rates to 0.0190, our real tangible personal property to 0.0270, and our motor, and there would also be a motor vehicle tax rate that's KRS that always stays at 1%. So it would be 0.01. That's from what from what I'm seeing, that's the compensating rate. The real property went up a fraction, a tenth of a percentage, but the tangible personal property has gone down by the same amount to kind of keep everything the same.
Okay, other questions for Mr. Leon Berger from the Extension Office? Okay, Mr. Leonberger, thank you, and thanks Keenan, and thanks to the board for their great work, and for the services that they provide to our community. Thank you. Glad to see you on. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is authorization for approval of minutes from a regular meeting of August the 12th. Are there any questions on that? The next one is authorization for approval of minutes from a special meeting of August the 22nd. Any questions on that? The next one is authorization for approval of minutes from our special meeting of August 25th. Any questions on that? All right, the next item on the agenda is Miss Judy Mattingly. Are you on? Judy, are you on? This is to accept the resolution of the Franklin County Board of Health establishing the public tax rate for the health department. Welcome, Judy.
Hello, everyone. And so just like the other agencies presenting here tonight, our board has met, and I'm so sorry. Let me see if I can get my screen to move here. And this is just a copy of the resolution that you should already have, showing that our board is asking for the rate to be set at 7.00, which is the compensating rate for us. And you can see here on this screen what that rate will bring in and different taxes for us, and then what we actually got in FY22 from those. And then just to let you know how that does flow, this is our Board of Health budget. And then the Board of Health obviously gives the largest portion of our budget to the health department, that line item of $2.4 million that you see there on your screen. And other than that, if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best to explain, and I think you might be able to I know you can help. But the reason that we will have to vote on yours is because of the way you were established. I believe in 1968, you were established by were you established by statute or by the fiscal court itself, or by some government entity?
Yes, our taxing district was actually not formed until year 2000, and it was formed by the fiscal court. At that time, the rate was set at 4.0, and then in 2013, we had an increase due to increased retirement expenses to 5.75. In 2018, when retirement went up again, we raised it to the 7.25, and now working off of the compensating rate, we're going to ask to bring it back down to 7.00.
Yeah. Squire Muller.
Thank you, Judge. Judy, thank you for presenting tonight. Would it be possible that we receive a copy of the numbers that you have on the screen there?
Oh, of course, I'd be happy. I can email those. Actually, Andrew already has it. If he can send it to you, or I'd be happy to send it to you either way.
Okay, I think we can handle it. Andrew has it. Thank you.
Andrew, did you hear that request? Please send the documents to the Squires.
Absolutely.
Email.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Judy? All right. Well, just like all the other boards that we've heard from tonight, thank you, Judy. Thank you for the health department, and oh my goodness, what a year you all had, and we sure appreciate you. Thank you.
Couple years.
Thank you so much.
And thank you all. Have a good meeting.
Okay, next item, that authorization to receive the audit report for the county clerk for the year ending December 31st, 2021. Mr. Hancock.
Yeah,
welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good. All right.
Good. You know, to hear these rates coming in and seeing every one of them being the compensating rate and every one of them dropping ought to make us feel really proud that our PBA is doing her job at her fullest extent. She's doing a great job at making sure that she's keeping the values going the way they're supposed to, and the tax rates dropping for the citizens. So I just wanted to throw that in there. On our audit, once again, this is my eighth audit under my administration and my eighth clean audit. We pride ourselves in having clean audits. You know, the taxpayers in Franklin County are trusting us with their money, and we want to make sure it gets where it's supposed to, and I think we do an excellent job.
Sure do.
Any questions on the audit?
Audit.
I have a comment.
You do good work and we appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Can I have 30 seconds worth of leniency on running through election stuff real quick?
And you actually, if it's election stuff, we'll give you 2 minutes.
Okay, 68 days to election. Reason I haven't been here, reason this wasn't on here is because I had to wait to get my plan reapproved again through the State Board of Elections. We're going to 12 total locations. We will not have the 10, we'll have 12. What's great about the 12? They will have no restrictions. Go to whatever location you want to. Don't need to call me, don't need to ask. If you're over by Western Hills, you want to vote, you get a vote there. We're moving a couple. We moved one to the Schweitzer Fire Station so we could say ADA accessible. We're excited to be back in the fire station there in Schweitzer.
You have one at K-State now?
And K-State at the Exum Center. So we've added that one, plus we've added the senior center. We're having 3 early voting locations, Capital City Christian, Yes Arts Building, and the senior center. So you got one on the east, the west, and downtown. Guys, I'm looking at about a 65 to 67% turnout in this election. So I need you to start emphasizing on your voters. Early voting is a good way to vote. It's not a good way, it's a great way to vote. Need to get it. This is part of the election cycle, guys. Election day, everybody begged for it not to be one day. It's now 4 days. Let's use the 4 days. Let's not back up the lines and make it all one day. You got 3 locations. My motto for this one's going to be, don't wait in line. Find a place that you can vote without waiting in line.
Jeff Timber just asked me, is it the Schweitzer new fire station or the old?
It's the new fire station on Schweitzer Road. We have to bring it into town just a little bit, but we have to follow ADA regulations. We have to make sure that you can get a 36-inch wheelchair through. There's so many regulations that we're following to follow the guidelines that we'd love to get as far out in the county as we could, but guys, we run out of options. We have to have buildings that have roll-up doors. We have to have options to get people in and out of them. So, yes, sir.
With the 12 locations and the early voting, how's that going to do with your budget?
We're going to use every bit of election dollars out there. We're still going to have plenty of excess fees. I will go over and beyond what I've promised and guaranteed. Even with us going ahead and getting 120,000 of that in your hands prior to this for the record retention that we're talking about, I will still exceed our excess fees. Our election budget's going to be tight though. We're going to use, out of the 250, we've already used 111 of it. We're going to use almost every dollar of it getting this with all the locations.
Got all the poll workers you need?
We can always talk and use some more poll workers for the early voting locations especially. But yes, we are in pretty good shape right now. 68 days away, and remember this election starts in 24 days. On September the 24th, the portal opens, guys. It means anybody that's handicap accessible and can't get out, is scared to be in at the polls, has a reason that they can't go somewhere and can't be out during the election, needs to order their ballots. That's why it's there.
One of the things, I don't recall
a report, and if so, forgive me, but it'd be good to hear it again. How did the new equipment, because we did in the primary, that was the first time using all of that equipment that we were so lucky to get a full grant for all of it.
Absolutely.
How did it work?
Unbelievable. Guys, the equipment's the reason we can go anywhere. We're gonna print on demand every ballot. I put a backup plan together, and that's why some of the cost is up, because I've got a printed backup set of ballots for every single location. I hope to never have to open them, but I'm not gonna go out there blind either. I'm not gonna go out there and get 350 people in line and say, I can't vote you because I don't have any way to print your ballot because the print on demand went down. So for this one, we are doing a contingency plan of a full set of lockdown printed ballots that will be at every location. So that's part of what cost. I mean, when you start having double redundant backups, those ballots are 45 cents a ballot.
Did you have any go down on the last?
I did.
Primary?
I did. I had it go down, but it was a little bit of a user operator issue, and it was a little bit of we haven't messed with these printers yet, and it's our first time. As soon as I got back over to, it was at the Yes Arts building, and I could get my hands on it, I could get it back up and operating. I took a line that was 45 minutes long, got it down to a 5-minute line within 45 minutes, so.
Good point, good deal. Any other questions for Jeff on this? Okay.
Guys,
Jeff,
thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
This is, the next item is a second reading and approval of an ordinance amending the table of ordinances, section 1, zoning map changes of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances for an 85.388 acre portion of property identified as a portion of tract number 1, 84.058 acres plus or minus a portion of the PVA map number 087-00-00-031.00 and a portion of tract number 2, 1.331 acres plus or minus a portion of PVA map number 8087-00-00-031.01 located at 690 Duncan Road from Agricultural District AG to Industrial General District IG. Mr. Hewitt.
Before you start, can I just make the court aware that you do have an amended item for that? The only thing that has changed from your packet is on the second page, I added, I've given an amended first reading and summary. Since we did give another first reading, I wanted to document that. So I just wanted to bring that to the court's attention.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so that has the findings of fact. Okay. Any discussion on that? Court, any discussion?
It was brought to my attention that a public hearing may be necessary for this to be legal. I want to hear or be stated again while we're not doing that.
Okay. Robert, was there a public hearing when this was presented for planning and zoning?
Yes.
That's where, and we decided to do the transcript, remember?
Oh.
We decided we would do the video transcript and look at it and not hold it.
The public hearing, and
We
you
decided
consider
not to.
that,
That's correct.
but that public hearing resulted in a approval of the zone change. I mean, a denial of the zone change. So is that applicable to our approval of the zone change?
Yes, Robert, you want to answer Squire Booth's question? I believe her question is, one public hearing denied it. We haven't had another public hearing. We denied the public hearing. We did the transcript as opposed to the public hearing. The fiscal court. Yeah, how many, weren't there 2 public hearings by the planning and zoning, Robert?
Yes, sir. There was an initial public hearing in which testimony and evidence was entered into the record. And then the hearing was tabled and then reconvened the following month, in which there was deliberation amongst the planning commission members, and then findings of fact were established and a recommendation made to the fiscal court.
Well, that wasn't 2 public hearings though, was it?
Well, it was one public hearing that spanned 2 months. 2 separate meetings.
Well, there were 2 public hearings.
Well, there's one public hearing that covered 2 meetings in 2 separate months.
I see. Okay.
Okay.
Blackburn. I got a question for Rick, county attorney. Based on that letter that the court received, do you feel we're in danger of having an appeal filed on our decision today? For any reason?
I would presume that every single action that you all take the minute the court is called on, you're going to get appealed on something or another. I received a copy of a letter where they also requested a public hearing. My understanding of the court's decision was, in light of the transcript from planning and zoning and in light of the video and the testimony presented, that the court at that point had one of 2 options. Number 1, you can act on the transcript and the information presented on that, and find your own findings of fact, which was the direction the court went in. You could have a brand new public hearing. The court declined to do that at any time. The document I think that you're referring to also requested an additional public hearing, which the court declined to do and made its decision on the testimonial transcript and the findings or the statements, et cetera, presented by staff, and had your own independent findings of fact on the same evidence. So if you're asking, is anybody going to appeal? Shit, I don't know. I mean, I guess anybody can appeal one way or the other. On the other hand, I think that the court, to the best of my knowledge and information, has acted according to the statute and the laws required on these hearings that was held at Planning and Zoning, and then your all's independent review of that transcript and the statements provided by staff.
Well, I think the concern was that we did lead our discussions based on the transcript and by staff, but there was also the applicant's counsel spoke at that meeting as well, and I think that was the concern.
I'm not aware of a summary from applicants, counsel, et cetera, that would be a de facto violation, much like a closing argument would be on testimony in any other matter. And I know that your all's findings were based on the information contained in the proof that was presented, that is the transcript and the finding from Planning and Zoning. There was no additional testimony that I recall being presented that resulted in a finding.
All right. I'm just checking.
That's wise course to act on any portion, and I know that the court has been concerned about the writ and everything that I can see on that. That is not a prohibiting document that would prevent this court from ruling up or down as you all see fit under the evidence and the facts that were presented.
Okay, any other questions from the court on item number 7? Seeing none, let's move to the next item, item number 8. This is the first reading of an ordinance amending the operation of the county fiscal court, chapter 30, administrative code, personnel administration, by adding a section of
Commercial driver's license, CDL, training expenses, and employment agreement of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances. This is the second reading will be on September the 23rd. And Timber, you want to explain why we're doing this?
So this is to ratify the policy that you all approved in the previous court to bring it into our admin code.
Yeah. I remember that.
Okay, so that means that if you're, we train you with your CDL and you leave early, you're gonna have to pay for the cost of the CDL, which is quite expensive. Isn't that right, Squire Mahler?
Yes, I think it's $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
All right, no other questions? Let's go to the next item. The next item is authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Kentucky Energy and Environmental Cabinet Division of Waste Management for 2022 litter abatement grant funding. Ms. Woodward.
Good evening, Court. This is for 2023. This is basic, so that was a typo on my fault probably. But this is for 2023. This is the litter abatement grant. This is the money that goes towards funding the roadside cleanups. This year we've had overwhelming success. I had 23 groups sign up, and actually I had more than that, but a few just weren't qualified or had participated last year. But as of right now, we've actually had 13 groups finish their pickups. This funding also goes towards purchasing some promotional items that I give out at tabling events. And let's see, it's a calendar year grant. So it goes from January to December. Typically we receive anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 for this grant. And
I spend it all. So there's no match required for this one. It's money to go to clean up our community.
Questions for Brittany on this one? Okay, Brittany, let's go to the next one. This is exciting too. Authorization to approve a bid award for the wood chipper to Earthworks equipment.
So I'm gonna let John or Steven, whoever is on, talk about the bid process. But this year for the grant, I put in a request for a piece of equipment. So I put in for a wood chipper. The quote that was initially given to me for this application was for $46,548.06. And that's what we were approved for from the state. So I left it to the road department to figure out what exactly we needed, and I'm going to let them take over.
Before he does that, how would this wood chipper be used for our in our program?
So it'll be used to chip up it'll be pulled behind a vehicle, and it'll be used to chip up the yard waste that we collect from residences, like on our limb pickup days.
Okay, John Mitchell.
Yeah, we did this bid process just like we did the rest of them, and we have a chipper similar to this one. It's an older one, but this is a bigger size, so I think it's going to be a little better. I mean, that's the only bid we got, so we're going to go for it.
They're local.
That Earthworks tractor, Earthworks equipment makes me think of the old movie, Earthworm Tractor. Nobody's seen it, even though if you step watch.
I'm sure. Okay, sold it.
I looked at on Netflix tonight.
Yeah.
Is that gonna be on this?
Okay, any questions? Any questions on that? All right, thank you, John, and thank you, Brittany, too. All right, let's go to the next item. The next item is authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application to the Law Enforcement Protection Program on behalf of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office for body armor. And you've got 3 of them in a row here. Good
Yes.
work, Ann.
Good evening, court. Yes, this first application, as the sheriff's office has indicated that they have a need for 15 units of body armor. This is a grant program through the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security. The estimate is about $10,200 for the 15 units. It's for some new deputies and the school resource officers, and there's no match obligation.
Okay. Is this one that we alternate with the city, Ann?
No, this is not.
Not one of those, okay. Squire Sebastian?
Thank you, Judge. Is anybody on from the sheriff's office? Because my questions are more pertinent to the equipment rather than the grant itself.
Might have a deputy out. No, okay,
We have a deputy here, but I doubt he could answer.
okay, I'm sorry. No, I don't, anybody on from Sheriff? Squire, are you on?
I don't think the sheriff's on with this, Judge. I don't see him.
All right. Okay. Is there a question that Ann can answer?
Well, I'll ask and we'll see what answers we can get. So for some things like this, do we know if this body armor is universal or if it's fitted to each deputy?
It is fitted to each deputy, is my understanding.
And do you know what the estimated lifespan of this is? It the body armor?
I do not know that.
I don't know. That's the thing I don't know. So how long do we know, since it's fitted, then do we have an idea about if the body armor gets utilized and damaged, how long is it going to take to put another piece of equipment back out there?
I don't know if they keep any just as an emergency surplus, or if they would have certain ones that wouldn't be a fitted unit. I know that they strive to keep the officers outfitted with the best equipment that they can get. I'm assuming that they would just have to go ahead and get another piece. We have gotten some grants in the past for body armor. So I know that it is an ongoing issue. That's it's one of those things that, you know, they absolutely want each deputy to have.
Absolutely. And then that leads into another question I have. Do we know if there's an additional need? So this is going to upfit 15 officers. We'll have some in the schools, have some outside of the schools. Will we need other for road deputies and other folks that kind of matriculate through different parts of the sheriff's office?
As I've said, we've actually done some grants in the past for units, and I believe we may even still have a pending application through State Homeland Security for some more units. So they're trying just to make sure that these new deputies that they hadn't accounted for and the new school resource officers, that everybody has an updated vest to wear.
Okay, so I guess what I'm taking from your response is this should cover everyone that's has a field facing duty with the sheriff's office.
At this time, that's my understanding is why they've asked for this number of units.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right. And you want to go to the next one?
Yes, this is another application. The Law Enforcement Protection Program has 3 different areas. One is, of course, the body armor. The second is electronic control devices. And then the third area that they have available is patrol weapons. And so this would be an application for 6 units patrol weapons for some new deputies and school resource officers. And the estimate of the equipment would be about $7,688.50. So that's the weapons and the accessories that are needed to go along with it.
Questions?
Do we know exactly what type of equipment this is?
I do have their estimate. I don't have it in front of me, but I could get that information and get it to you. It's what their standard use patrol weapon is.
Wow.
Okay. I can look.
And then, like I said, there's some accessories, and there may even on this estimate, they are allowed to ask for example, for training ammunition and some of those types of things. So they put together an estimate of items that they feel that they need.
Gotcha. Thanks, Ann.
Questions? Okay, Annie, let's move to the next one with the fire department.
Okay, I'll start this out and then I'll just turn it over to Chief Brewer. Kentucky American Water has a grant program of $500 for each year for fire departments that most of their grants are given to counties where they have customers. But a few years ago, we convinced them that since they go through Franklin County, that Franklin County ought to be eligible as well. And so they've let us apply each year. So the chief has some things that he would like to apply for with this $500. Unfortunately, the state program for wildland firefighting that we were able to get a couple of grant applications and awards from in the past years has decided that we're not eligible for that anymore because it's not a full volunteer fire department, and that's kind of where their concentration was. So the fact that we can get some equipment that's needed for wildland firefighting through this grant is a great thing, and I'll let the chief describe what he's asking for.
Thank you, Ann. Good evening, Court. What we're applying for this grant is fire rakes and fire swatters or flappers. What these are used for are to establish fire control lines whenever we're having to do actual hand containment of wildland fires. You can see the estimated cost. Grant only covers about $500, so roughly half of the amount, but we feel like we could absorb the rest of that through our budget.
Did you say fire swatters?
He did.
All right, yeah, we call them fire flappers. So they're a big rubber pad and on the end of a rake handle when you actually go around the fire edge and smother the fire out, and then you come back around and mop it up.
Okay. Well, Squire Moore just wanted to know. We all knew, but we wanted to let Squire Moore know what it was.
Yeah, depending on what region you're in as to what they're called.
Yeah, okay. Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. Chief, thanks for being on with us tonight. So can this apparatus be used in all fire events or just wildfire events and forest fires?
It's mainly designed for forest fires. The rakes have a special design head so that when you're going around and establishing a control line, they're great for cutting through the vegetation because you have to create that separation to try to control those fires.
Okay. Do you know what the estimated lifespan of this type apparatus is that's going to be partially funded?
We have some of this equipment that's been on the department since I've been on. That's a little over 17 years. So most of it through maintenance, we sand and maintain the handles. You'll break a tooth on the rakes every now and then, or the flappers will dry rot over time. You have to cut them back and reattach them. But through maintenance, we can get several years as long as there's no incidents on fire where you break a handle or anything like that.
That's a great return on investment. So that's wonderful to hear. So we currently have some of this equipment. Is it spread out among all the outstations, or is it primarily there at Station 10?
Yes, all the stations, especially on the brush trucks, are equipped with rakes and flappers.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief, I don't see any other question. I'll go to the next one.
Okay, the next item, if you look through your court bills, you've probably seen that we were able to purchase a brush truck. The vendor who we had actually placed our first order that was approved by the court for the other 3 trucks called and had a vendor or another company who had ordered a truck and decided they didn't want it. And it was almost identical to our spec for the brush trucks we were looking for. It did a couple of things for us. One, it gets us a truck in the door quickly, which is a huge bonus. And we're also able to buy that truck at the 2022 state master agreement price, which is several $1,000s cheaper than the 23 price is expected to be. So there, after talking with Treasurer Lawrenson, just one clarification, there was one truck that was carried over from last year's budget. That truck arrived a week or 2 after the new fiscal year. It's already been upfitted and put into service. This truck that we just purchased would be a second truck. And then due to the extended delivery times and the waiting times that we're experiencing, they're telling us that at the soonest it would be March before those other trucks showed up, but they can't give me any kind of definite timeline. So this would give us 2 2022 model trucks. We're trying to request to still keep the 3 that are on order as being able to purchase those whenever they do come in, since those are budgeted, which this will require some type of budget increase in this line if the trucks were to come in this fiscal year. If they were to not come into after the new fiscal year, then it could be carried over to that following budget year. But I thought I would take this opportunity because it just seemed like too good of an opportunity not to make this request.
Muller.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you for being on, Chief. So the vehicle in our court bills, do we have in our possession?
We do. So they give us the option. So when that truck can either be one of the 3 that we ordered and just us not take one of them when they come in, or if approved by the court, we could purchase this truck and still purchase the 3, but that would require an increase to that line. So if we were to just not take one of the 3 that is on order and replace it with one of these, or the truck that we took possession of, then that would be an option, and that would still be a cost savings.
Okay, thank you.
So you'll have a total of 5 brush trucks after these 3 are.
Correct. And then we would only have 1 to replace for the next fiscal year. That would put us in a great shape as far as our wild and fire response.
I was just going to dovetail off of, and thank you, Judge. I was just going to dovetail off of what Squire Blackburn And in strategic planning, we find ourselves really here in a cyclical situation. When we got all the brush trucks before, it's because we got them all at the same time. And so they're all breaking down at the same time, which is a huge impact, to the budget. So I guess, and we talked at strategic planning about starting to stagger the purchase of these so that it's more palatable for the budget to be able to handle that as it comes. Anybody that replaces a fleet deals with that. So I'd be interested in seeing what everybody's thoughts are, because we're in that cycle now. We're about to get in it again.
It's a great idea, what you said.
Well, the only way-
Potentially, but
Only way to
there-
break this would be to defer one of them to the next year.
Yep.
That's the only thing.
But the downside of doing that, as we all know, is that the stock is there now. Stock may not be there. So I'm just interested to see what everybody's thinking right now.
Oh,
Chief, are some of them used more than others because of the location?
They are. There are some districts that are more prone, obviously the Owenston Road District and the Bald Knob District are going to be more prone to grass fires. But all the districts except for probably Station 8, the Schnott Road District, that station probably experiences the least grass fires. And if we were able to continue with this truck and the 3 that we have on order, that will give all those other stations that are the majority of our wildland fire responses equipment to be able to make that response. It's new.
The
and
reason I
updated.
ask is I'm getting it, maybe a couple of them will wear out before the other 2 or 3. And you could replace them instead of waiting until they're all wore out like we did this time and replacing them all at the same time or within a year or 2 of each other.
I mean,
They
we're
need
in
to
a
be spread out.
Yeah, we're in a cyclical thing here, and I know I brought up at strategic planning
Right.
about staggering the purchase for these
It's been brought
big
up
pieces of equipment.
in years
Absolutely,
before.
I'm not saying it is. You're exactly right.
And
But
Squire,
we've got
I
an
agree
opportunity to talk
I agree
about that.
100% on the staggering of the equipment for budgetary purposes. If I wouldn't be making this request if we weren't having so many issues out of brush trucks.
Absolutely. I mean,
Either way, that's going to stagger the truck purchases over 3 years. You'll just have 2 right now. We would currently have 2 2022 models. If we were able to continue on with the 3 that are on order, that would give us 3 2023s and then 1 2024.
So would this money come
If
from
it's all
within your
approved.
budget or would Susan have to find it elsewhere?
The money for the one, there's 3 that are on order that are budgeted for. There's 1 extra truck that we would have to adjust the budget for if it came in this fiscal year.
Squire Muller?
Thank you, Judge. Chief, for me, it kind of comes down to money. Do you know what the current price is compared to last year's pricing? What the savings is?
They are expecting us, they told us to budget. They didn't have an official price yet, and he hasn't been able to release that, but they told us to budget for a 14% increase.
Thank you.
everything's going up.
Yeah.
What's it cost them more or not? They still go up.
Chief, for a quick question, would it be possible to maybe reach out to Sheriff Quire? He's great at being proactive in regards to always looking to upgrade his fleet and trade in old vehicles, new vehicles, whatever he may have. But would it be possible to kind of identify a mileage that you think that you need to start looking at, and then possibly you can kind of mimic what he's doing? He was fortunate enough, I think, to bring in 16 or 17 vehicles just by being proactive and staying on top of it.
That I could definitely reach out to Sheriff Quire. They are a little bit of a different boat as far as some of these trucks these brush trucks are 20, 21 years old, and they have about 80 or 90,000 miles on them. They're hard off-road miles, and everyone knows of the issues that those year model Dodge trucks have as well. So we could definitely look at, and my plan would be to stagger those out, especially in the future on purchases, cycling those out, still be able to try to get a return out of them when we would surplus them. But they do take quite a bit of upfitting as far as setting tanks and pump configurations and hoses and everything else.
Right. Well, I'm not talking only being proactive with the old ones. I'm talking the new ones as well. I think he traded in a 2022 pickup and made money off of it. So I think it's just, across the board at everything, if you can look at it.
Absolutely. If that option is there, we would be happy to look at that.
Thank you.
The market is allowing that right now. The market won't always allow that.
So how do you all want to proceed, Court?
I'm all going on big purchasing it now.
This is authorization to purchase an additional fourth brush truck for the fiscal year 22-23.
Yeah, I'm a yes.
You do want to proceed with this, the way it reads?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Court. Thank you, everyone.
All right. The next item is authorization to enter into a professional service agreement with the Bluegrass Area Development District, Bluegrass Ed, for land use planning services and technical assistance relating to the development. This is Robert. I think you've worked out an agreement with them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Court, this is identical to the agreement we entered into last year. The agreement is based on a fiscal year, so it expires on June the 30th of each year. I think it's important to have, as I stated the last time I requested this agreement, in the event of staff being out, whether it be vacation, whether there's a conflict of interest, whether there's a special need that the ad could provide, or a special service they could provide that we don't have in-house. It's only used on an as-needed basis. And so they do this for other counties as well. When I spoke with the Bluegrass ad the other day, they're currently doing this service for providing assistance to Jessamine County. So I would just ask the court's consideration to execute this agreement as we did last year.
Do you foresee any of this being used, since we are down a person in your office?
Yes, I would like to utilize the Bluegrass ad staff in whatever capacity they could afford to provide us while we are searching for applicants in a planner position.
Okay, Squire Muller.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you for being on, Robert. Do you know what we have spent with them this current year?
Well, my secretary is out, so I don't have that financial. Perhaps the treasurer might be able to get it faster.
Our last fiscal year, I'm sure was a carryover that really shouldn't be expenses.
So then do we ever set a limit on it, or is it just open-ended?
It's on an hourly basis, so we do budget for it. The treasurer was about to come on.
I'll look it up and get right back with you.
Thank you.
Robert currently has, he's down 2 employees. He has another employee that's getting ready to take a 2.5 week vacation. So that'll leave planning and zoning 1 person. That would be Robert. So
This is her.
And he can inspect.
it doesn't have to do with
Planning.
inspections. It's, yes,
Okay.
right. It's visitors coming in the office, the telephone calls.
Yeah.
Andrew is helping out. Andrew's issuing permits. He's learning on the job. So the office, we always try to pitch in and help where we can. And we have several people here who are taking the payments over the phone or going to the front desk and taking payments on behalf of planning and zoning. But it's still, to only have Robert in the office for 2.5 weeks is not good.
No, it's not.
Squire Muller, it looks like we've spent $11,600 for services to date, for planning services.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is that for last fiscal year or this fiscal year?
I think that's all. We haven't spent anything this fiscal year.
That's fine.
Thank you.
It was on a fiscal year basis. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on this one? Okay, Susan, you've got several. Thank you, Robert. This next one is authorization to approve a resolution relating to the 2022 Franklin County tax rates, real and personal property, aircraft, watercraft, non-commercial, and 2023 tax rates for motor vehicle and watercraft.
Andrew, you want to allow me to share my screen?
You should have that capability.
Okay. Court, we had a public hearing earlier this afternoon and presented information that you all had already received in your packets regarding the proposed rate and the various rates and comparison of revenues. There wasn't anyone present for the public hearing, but as you have read in the information and the publication for the advertisement, we have to state what we'll use the additional revenue for. And in fact, we identified employee retirement benefits as the target to try to cover the additional costs for retirement. I have on the screen some historical information of our assessments and the rates that we've adopted. You can see that over the past years, we had the same rate for 3 years in a row, and then we had a rate decrease. And in fact, this year, the proposal is for another rate decrease, and it would also still raise additional revenue. The additional revenue based on the proposal of basically $1.84 per thousand or $184 for a $100,000 home. Based on that rate and our assessments for real property, we're estimated to take in an additional $301,000 over the prior year. This rate also determines what our personal property tax rate calculation would be, and that calculation would also be 0.184 and would also represent a decrease in the tax rate, but still be able to generate additional revenue based on anticipated, that is, increase in assessments, primarily in the distilled spirits section of tangible property. So this is the recommendation of rates. Certainly there are other rates, but I would point out that, and I did point this out in the public hearing, that just based on retirement alone, our budget for retirement for this year is increased by $432,000. So for that single area, the additional revenue is just a beginning on covering a part of our plan. And as you all are very well aware, we have other benefits besides the retirement that add to our the increases in our budget year to year, and overall payroll increases with the cost of living and salary adjustments that we are attempting to make for, to catch up with. So I love that old saying about better to keep up than to catch up. So taking this rate, I think, would keep us in a fiscal position to keep up. And we've got a lot of 8 balls we're going to be behind with a road garage and a need for the road garage, a really long overdue need for a road garage. And then just the idea of any kind of improvements and quality of life investments, are the gravy, much less taking care of our biscuits. And that household collection, where we've spent, with the fuel surcharge, I think we're spending about $10,000 extra a month there for our household collection. So, and that, I don't see that going away anytime soon. So there's item after item on the appropriation needs side that would certainly validate this rate, and with the, opportunity to have additional revenue with a lower rate is, would prove no increase for many households. So discussion or comments?
Susan, I don't like to go against you. But what would a 8.2 or a 1.83 do?
If you can see the chart on the screen now, I do have those values listed. So at the
Can you
183,
slide the screen
Slide it
over?
over because we can't
Your,
see.
We can't see
your
it.
video's blocking it, Susan.
you can't see the screen.
Just move it over a little bit, back to like where it was originally.
To your left. As you're facing it to your left.
Is that better? Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You can? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 0.183, you would have about $267,000 more in revenue. And again, it would lower the personal rate as well. So when you lower the real rate, it automatically lowers the personal rate calculation. So that includes tangible taxes, which includes distilled spirits. So you'd be passing on a large rate decrease there as well in that category. The 0.182, you would take in an estimated additional $233,000. And again, the same impact on the tangible tax rate. The other impact is on the sheriff's office. They plan for commissions and they plan for some strong growth in their own budget in commissions. So banking on not only assessments, but probably continuation of rates would, that'll have an adverse impact on their commission revenue when we take lower rates, they get less money as well. And that particular service area, as we know, is growing leaps and bounds for, what it's going to cost to run a countywide law enforcement office. So those are options.
Yeah, I understand all that. I'm representing the people out there that are paying so much for gas and everything else. Groceries are outrageous and they need just a few more bucks in their pocket.
Well, you're not running for office.
And I'm not running for office here. But I've never been in favor of the 4%. So I would like, I was gonna go, suggest a 182, but a 183 would even be okay with me, but I won't go for the 184.
I like what Squire Moore had to say. I'm good with the 183. I think we need to help our constituents right now in tough times.
Well, and our assessments are all higher and we're growing, we're building
PVA's
houses.
catching up, absolutely.
I think we'll still, and traditionally, Susan's been conservative on our what we're gonna bring in, and we usually, I can't think of any time when we brought in less than what she's predicted we'd bring in, so. I think I'm for 183.
Let me remind you, and I'm not disagreeing with anything that you said. I absolutely agree that we've got a lot of people hurting and there's a lot of needs. But I caution this court. I'll say this. I will not be here. Squire Moore, you won't be here. Squire Booth, you will not be here. But a year to this date, exactly this date, you will be entering into a new solid waste contract. That solid waste contract, I will tell you right now, is crushing other communities. It is more than double. It really actually has almost doubled today because of the fuel surcharge that we have
Have agreed to.
installed. So,
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't try to help the citizens, but I also want to warn you that some major decisions are going to have to be made by this court in the spring of 23 on how you're going to handle the increase in picking up garbage in our community. It's out there. September 1st is when the new contract starts of 23. So a year from today, be careful, be leery of what is on the horizon. It's not going to be lower, I guarantee you. When we renewed it 2 or 3 years ago, it was the same, and we thought, and we were excited about that. So it's there. Be careful.
I know.
And the other part of this is, and I have to speak for Squire Dawson coming up in my great memories. You'll be glad to be rid of me, so you won't have to hear all these memories, but he'd always say, you know, you've got a compound impact. And this impact, the rate you pick this year affects the rate that you are able to pick next year because of the way it's calculated in the formula. So you are having a strategic impact in a negative fashion, quite frankly, by, you know, making a choice in that area. And I think it would be fiscally irresponsible to select anything except for the maximum rate allowed, and that the state gives us the effort on, and that we are showing we're taking the efforts that the state gives us. We have so few opportunities for raising revenue, and the argument over and over again in these revenue reform discussions is that counties don't exercise the options that they have. So revenue reform gets stifled at the state level because we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing at the local level. And this is the opportunity. And it's $1 less on $100,000 property. Many of the people that are hurting, I know people that are hurting, they rent. They don't even own their own home. Okay? That's where people are hurting. And giving $1 discount to the landlord, you think he's going to pass that on to them? No, I doubt it. He's probably already doubled the rent on them. So we can have sensitivity to our population in need. But as far as tax equity, you need to be looking at something that's more equitable, and that's the insurance premium tax. And the city is doing just that. It's an opportunity for the county to do that as well. And that should be on the top agenda for the new court. And those that are going out, I think, should leave the new court with a solid revenue source, and by taking this rate and giving them the opportunity to start making some strategic decisions about revenue, instead of having to consider cutting services and taking our household collection away from us, which is a component of our general tax base. So we've got 911 services that we've lost landline money. It's an extremely expensive service to maintain because of the computers and the way it's the lack of funding there. We're going to have issue after issue. We've got an aging population, and the demand for ambulance service is not going anywhere but up, and the funding is going everywhere, including down. So this is your one opportunity to really show some fiscal responsibility and do what you need to do at the local level. And $1 difference, $2 difference, for $100,000 property. That's I don't get to vote, but there's 2 cents worth or $200,000 worth, either how you want to look at it.
By the way, this is the last time Susan will be doing
Yes.
tax rate. We'll miss you, or they will miss you, Susan.
We will certainly miss you.
Okay, well, I need a consensus of the court where to go and what figure to put in. It is being proposed of a 0.184. I heard a discussion about 0.183. So.
When.
I always
paint
follow
the gloom and doom of
treasurer.
next year. And it is lower than last year's rate, I'll go along to get along.
Go along, get along, okay? Muller?
I've listened to what everybody else has to say. It's gonna be majority, so I'm good either way. I'm just.
I mean, I just want to make sure we need it, so we don't sit there and spend
Yeah,
2 hours.
I agree.
Okay. Squire Tracy?
I couldn't agree more with Squire, the original Squire Moore. It looks like there would be a difference of about 36,000, so I support the going to the 183.
So I'll counter with the other. When you start looking and we start tallying up all the expenses, we bought 5 brush trucks now. We've just added one that's not in our budget. We're having a road department building that we've all championed from the day we got on this court. We're about to launch into a master plan with the park. There are some other things in regard to how we advance that. We know that the General Assembly, without giving additional dollars to any Kentucky county, has raised the rate that we're going to have to pay for retirement. I mean, this is like a stack of pancakes that's absolutely inedible. We keep layering more and more and more, and the challenge will be, where do we go back and pull back services? Because people want more services. They want a countywide law enforcement, and we've done a fantastic job in giving that countywide law presence every tool that it needs. We've added tools that they've never had the ability to have. We've brought in a brand new ladder truck into this community so that we have the ability to do what we need to do to help insurance premiums of homeowners. So I'm just trying to counterbalance without the aid of the county treasurer in how I make this reconcile, because if it's it's not working at my house that way.
What do you mean it's not looking at your house?
The problem is when I buy more and do more I suffer somewhere else. So I'm trying not to put us, or I'm trying to look at it in that way. When next year comes and I've robbed Peter over here to pay Paul, Peter's still not eating.
There's another big one that's looming, and it is looming big, and it's coming. I don't know in what form or fashion, and Ben and I were at the legislative hearing today on the barrel tax.
Absolutely.
And it is coming.
That's going
It was
away.
clear that
It's going away.
that they've made this promise to the distillers that what you say, Ben?
Hey, I've said it for months.
It's clear. They're just trying, they're trying to figure out how they're gonna do it. But it is clear, and we alone, in fact, in this with this fiscal court would be roughly $2 million.
Absolutely.
That we're gonna lose in some form or fashion. Maybe not all of it, but some of it.
To utilize for citizens.
That's exactly
That's the
right.
thing.
That's
It
right.
is all of this that we're looking at is to utilize and put back to help our constituents. So I've not heard one come knock on my door and say, please shut the sheriff's office down, or just have them go back to collecting taxes only. I want a presence. Please shutter one of the fire stations. Please close the Evergreen Road Fire Station. Please, that no one is advocating for less. Please don't pick up my trash.
Yeah, the
And
trash is the big one.
I want to, and we all want to be able to continue to provide these services. And the thing is we all sit here and want to do more. And we are trying to stretch. This court has been extremely deliberate every time we go through a budget development process of how can we stretch every dollar we have. I don't see anyone here at this court not, so the thing is I heed the words of what I consider my budget officer here in looking at things. At least I've stacked up on the debit side to know how my receipts are going to cover those, because they are existing debits that we cannot give to another county. We can't give them to anyone else. We've got to pay them to make sure the citizens stay whole. So that's where I'm at. Where am I at?
Yeah, you haven't said.
I agree with what the treasurer said.
Oh, the treasurer said. Okay.
Absolutely. I agree with what rate she's brought here. I would love to cut $1 off because I think that would help. But I look at the long-term gain of all the money that we're putting into these other services, and I see the gain there because I don't want to take 4 cars away from the sheriff's office. I don't want to take the ladder truck away from the fire department. I don't want to shut down household collection.
I don't either.
All right. Thank you.
That's just me.
Yeah, that's great point. Sorry, Black.
Me, okay. The optic's always better to lower taxes.
Well, it is lower.
And this is
than
lower.
that.
That's the point. This is lower.
Right.
Thank you, Devin.
Got it right here in front of me.
Well said.
I can see it. Yeah, I get it. But like Susan did say, and it's something that I think about a lot, we have 28,000 property tax bills. That signifies the property owners. Some property owners own a lot of property. Those folks are going to pay $1 less at the rate that's proposed per 100,000. I'm going to pay $1 less on the property that I own at 100,000. The people that need it the most, this isn't going to affect much. But the services that we pay for, that everybody participates in, I get it. I get both sides of it. We're still going to take in more money. We got 301,000, we got 109 over budget on real property. Additional receipts, that's the 400,000. That's our retirement for this coming one.
Yeah, but let's let Andrew, who controls the con, I guess, scroll down and look at that big barrel tax number that the judge brought up. I've been chewing on that and chewing on that.
Yeah, I too. Yeah, that's huge. And there's a lot of proponents in our town that are the property owners that are for this going away. So the burden that that's going to cause is going to shift towards the biggest proponents of making it go away.
Yeah.
We can't have both. We can't have both. And we're not going to have both for much longer, one way or the other. There will be some stop gaps in place, I think, for counties. I don't think they will be big enough to see the major. Let's face it, the bourbon industry, if you pay 40 million in taxes and you invest 40 million, you get it back. They give it back to them. The only thing this would help was incoming industry, which I like the thought of that. But I'm okay with 0.184.
Okay,
roll on.
Well, we got enough for.
I don't know where we are. I think Squire Tracy's wanting to. You want to say something? Is that what that's doing?
I don't want to interrupt you. I want to make sure.
You stand up, Squire Tracy?
Again, I think the difference is 36,000. I'm fine either way because at the end of the day, it's lowering. So I get it.
Yeah.
So again, I was with the original Squire Moore. You know,
Well, I have to point out that the overall impact, the overall impact is greater than 36,000 because the lower rate for tangible
I got you.
as well. So there's going to be a decrease there as well, or a lack of growth. So.
All right, the important thing is that we've got enough votes to move it forward.
Well,
And it's lower.
It is lower.
Yep.
Keep raising the what?
I said, will this keep the next court from raising the insurance premium tax? I doubt it.
I don't think that's not our deal.
That's a pass through from the people that pay insurance.
Yeah.
The insurance companies aren't going to absorb that.
Okay. Susan, now we got another tax rate that we need to talk about. The next one is the resolution relating to the tax rate on insurance, capital, and bank deposits.
Yeah.
You're on mute, Susan. You're on mute. She's been sitting there talking away.
The maximum rate you can take is the 15 cents. And we only took that one time in 2020. And then we hadn't taken it for years. We moved up to that, from the 10 cents and then finally to the 15 cents. And then we had basically a lot of pushback from the company because their assessments, their valuation of their reserves and the capital reserves went up so much that last year the court lowered the rate back down to a nickel, which I think is what it had been before. And now the original proposal from the judge was to keep the rate the same. And by doing so, it would generate an additional $10,000 based, again, because their certified assessment has grown so much. But there is a request from the taxpayer that to lower that rate or to lower the rate and just get it so that they just pay $2,600 more for the year, or basically a 4% increase over their prior year's tax bill. So again, I don't vote on this. The court you can pick whichever rate you want to. These are just calculations.
I think what their concern is, and I want to be, I don't want to, I want to say that we appreciate their, what they do for the community. You can see between 2020 and 2021, they're all, not quite double, but it was a large increase. What they're saying is that they expect that same type of increase again. And so they're trying to hit the compensating rate of the 4%. I believe it's the compensating rate to be adjusted. So they're asking for it to be 0.045 as opposed to 0.50.
Well,
And then the other rate is the bank shares rate, which basically it's just with banks instead of insurance companies. It's based on deposits at the banks. And this is just a flat rate. You either adopt it at the local level or you don't. And we take in, last year we took in a little over $220,000. And I can't remember off the top of my head how much we budget. I think 250, something like that, or maybe more. But with the bank deposits are up as well, but that rate stays the same. That again, that's the state rate. So there's no change in that rate.
Okay, so the question on the table is it kept at and I go back to the same 0.50 or 0.45? That's basically in the same argument saying it still applies to.
Question, Judge. Does it only move in increments of 5?
You can move it whatever kind of increment you want to. I suppose. I'll just plug and chug.
You want to show good faith with them, 4.8 or something, I don't.
maybe it's easier for calculations.
I just.
Are you proposing 4.8, 0.48?
No, I was just talking, Judge.
Okay.
Just throwing it out. I just want to know how it worked.
Works any way we want it.
Okay.
The way this particular calculation worked is they wanted it to work at 4%. And then we back into the rate. If you wanted, say I want, instead of $2,600 more, I want $5,000 more, then you back into the rate between these.
They're doing it quite the opposite of how we normally do it.
Yeah.
3.8%.
Okay. We needed a rate. Somebody throw out a rate.
4 or 5.
Is there a consensus on that?
Or eight?
Consensus on that?
This number I had in my head, just trying to work with them, I think that's what we need to show, but
I didn't understand what you said.
I was at 4.8 also, showing that we want to work with them.
Oh,
Okay.
but not that
So you
much.
give it some, yeah, there's 2 at 4.8.
I'm fine with that.
All right,
I was fine with 4.5, but I'll go with that.
all right.
Whatever.
Okay, we're gonna do 4.8, Susan.
0.048. Okay.
Yes,
Amber,
Thank you, guys.
I'll redo the report, Amber.
okay,
Thank you.
okay. So now we'll go to the next item on the agenda. And that's received the treasury report, Susan.
Are there any questions or concerns? I will say there are some areas of concern. We'll have budget transfers next court. There are definitely line items that are going to need funds. One of them you may talk amongst yourselves on is the training line for the magistrates is going to need funds. But I'll be looking at, multiple lines. Squire Sebastian, I see your hand. If there's anybody else, speak up.
Yes, ma'am. On page 3, other county buildings for repairs, there is $13,295 encumbered.
Yes, there is a pump house, and Chief can help me with this, that I think it services the industrial park that had some major repairs that were required. Am I getting the right item, Chief?
I believe that's correct. Jeremy was kind of heading up those repairs, working with the contractor, but I believe that is for the pump house repairs. It had a main
I know
seal
that's
go out
right.
in that pump, I believe, is what.
Pump
that
house on Chenault Road.
No, it's actually over on Dunk Road there, or on Hoover, at the intersection of Duncan and Hoover Road.
Okay.
It services industrial park too.
Yes. Yeah.
May I speak on that, Judge?
Sure.
Oh, hey, Jeremy.
That pump is 30, I think it's a little over 30 years old. And the main housing, the shaft that holds the propeller wore out and broke. So we had to get it replaced. It's a pretty quick emergency call we did. And while he was working on it, he suggested that in the next year or two that whole assembly should need to be replaced. The motor, the pump housing, the gate valves, it's got a lot of time on it, a lot of wear. The part that we put in, he can reuse, if we do the replacement. So it ain't, what we did isn't a loss.
That's good. Well, it just stood out in this because it's a 300% encumbrance over what's in the line item.
Yeah, it's hard.
So it just, and not knowing what that is, because that other county buildings could be lots of things. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So I thought about toward like the next budget, maybe present repairs for that,
Okay.
So, but I'm getting prices on it right now, so we'll know.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right, anything else from the treasurer's report? Susan? The payment of claims, was that where you were looking at that, Sherry? When you
Yes, sir. I've got one on page 4. There's a belt tensioner. Is it one of our newer vehicles? It's on page 4, 0191000571. Just wanted to know if it was a new vehicle or an older vehicle.
Page 3.
Page 4.
I'm trying to think, this vehicle, I can go pull it.
I just trying to figure it out because I can't tell from the invoice because that's theirs
I need to look.
and it's an 01. So
What vehicle is number 224?
You can get her back with her on that.
Yeah, I just trying to see if it was something that was new that we're already trying to prepare.
Robert,
Yes, sir.
you asked him. that, right?
Hey, Robert, was that one of your vehicles?
Yes.
There you go.
Uh-oh.
I'm
Is it
pulling,
new?
let's see, I'm trying to pull up.
Your inspector?
All changed and
Yeah, I mean, I get all the oil change, that's basic, but the tensioner belt, I'm wondering.
Let's see, I believe it is the 06 Silverado.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
okay. And then I had one more in regard to the jail. On those jail bills, it's 03-5101 5101-341. It's the medical services. So the pharmacy has exceeded the cost pool. So can they talk to us a little bit about that? And then there's also inmate eyeglasses. Now, that seems to be very clearly for the benefit of the inmate, as we continue to hear, and we are not to pay for things for the benefit of the inmate. So I'm just
That was
asking.
out
about
of
that.
the receipts from the commission, what do you call it?
Yeah.
Commissary.
Commissary, they're right.
Thank you.
They're supposed to handle that.
So
So
Yvonne, are you
just
on?
trying to see what, I mean, it
He's
says
halfway to the lake.
inmate eyeglasses.
He's at the lake.
Yeah, he took off and I went to the
was
lake. I
gone.
know he did.
As far as Sebastian, you know,
I know he did.
if you want to get a hold of him, maybe you can call him tomorrow and ask him those questions.
Okay, so when we get to the payment of the claims, I mean, you know, I may bring up these inmate eyeglasses and I'll pay for that, because we seem to be doing that a whole lot.
unless they broke them.
Yeah, we could have broken them. They were broken.
That's the thing. So how do we know?
You don't know.
All right.
Okay, all right. In other business, we will be going into closed session at the end of our voting session.
Hey, Judge,
Yes,
I'm sorry. I did have one more. I missed it. That Chevy Bolt, the repair for that, did it?
That's $4,000 or $5,000?
Yep.
Sheriff Carr, first day out or second day out,
Yeah.
hit a deer.
Hit a deer. Okay, all right.
Yes.
I kind of heard, but I just wanted to
They
be.
better put some whistlers on them things.
Well,
You can't hear him coming.
That's the thing, you can't hear him coming. That's true.
Yeah.
All right.
Under the business, I'm gonna give a
go right. Go
brief
ahead.
report on my little conference I went to.
Okay, go ahead.
I learned a lot. I'm not good at conveying that learning to other people though, but I'll tell you what some of it was. I had mosquito management. Basically, fogging and, old tires pick up, which we do, and not having standing water in places it shouldn't. Those retention basins, are big problems because most of them are supposed to be dry, but they're not.
They're deep.
Or they're supposed to have a certain amount of water in them. If they don't have enough water in them, then mosquitoes in this.
Right.
Then they had a climate resilience thing, talking about the Colorado River drying up.
Wow.
In a little over 20-year drought out there, plus they got millions of people more than expected drawing out of it, and they've had to cut back. Farms that get water from it aren't able to get the water anymore, and they get water, but not what they used to. They had to cut back on that, and they're pushing a lot of trying to get people to conserve. But San Diego has started recycling all their water, not for drinking purposes, but for non-potable, for irrigation and industry, and they can get this. They reuse the water after it leaves the sewer plant, and it's cleaning up for that, but not potable, which is a pretty good thing. That's why Lake Mead is drying up, and Lake Powell's the same thing. They in Utah, which Lake Powell's is higher up on the Colorado River, and Utah's got 3 of the fastest growing cities in the nation, and they're just drawing like crazy. And now Wyoming's wanting their water. They're supposed to get water from it and they never have. And they're wanting water from these lakes, from the Colorado River too. No.
Oh.
I mean, and then, other things I learned out there is Kentucky is way ahead of a lot of these other states, because they talked about broadband, and we're on a fast track to getting broadband to our people. And then they had a thing on, they thought it was revolutionary on roads, and I went to that one and ended up being chip and seal. We stopped doing, well, they still do some of that, but we stopped doing that a long time ago. But, so Kentucky's ahead of them on that, or Franklin County is. Kentucky's got some gravel roads too, but, and then retirement, I found out that I can't afford to retire, so. That's about it.
Yeah.
But it was good. Those conferences, they have all these committee meetings. I don't know if any of you have ever been to one of their conferences, but, and to sit through them is kind of hard because they're at their end of their committee's job. I mean, they're reporting. And so you don't know what information they're talking about. It's hard to understand a lot of it. But some of them are good, but others are kind of hard to watch.
Okay.
But that's about it.
Squire Sebastian, then Squire Tracy.
Thank you, Judge. Since we are in other business, I know we took a moment earlier to talk about the work that Clifford Coles had done for our community, and I want to share that same thing with Pat Badgett. Not only was she a neighbor of mine, but leading the Chamber of Commerce for such a long period. She gave of herself, her entire family gave of themselves to this community. I definitely think she also deserves a note of recognition, just
You're
as
exactly
Clifford.
right. And I apologize for not bringing
No,
her up.
no,
She was a personal friend of mine.
Absolutely. And then I also wanted to note about the dredge. So, did it get the boat up the ramp? Do we know?
I got
They were
pictures.
down there. I don't
They
see
were
it.
down there.
They got it.
They
I
did
saw
get,
a
they were
picture of
having,
it pulling it out.
they got it off the
All
bank.
pieces.
But that's the thing, I didn't know if they ever got it up the ramp.
I'll text Tommy. and
I
have
just
him-
want to know if they got it, were able to
I won't
completely
be able to
get it
say
out
right
of the
now.
water.
We
That's all.
pulled one out of the river one night, but it was a metal hole.
Yeah.
It just took a dozer
I just
and
wanted
yanked it.
to know if it was able to be, because I saw them take it off of the bank, but I didn't know if they got it all the way out of the water. That's all. Just wanted to follow up on that. Thank you.
We got it, it's
Yeah,
gone.
John was down
It's
there.
gone. Okay, thank you, John. Appreciate that.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you so much.
All right, Squire Tracy.
Judge, I'd like to request that we have a park committee meeting set up for next week or as soon as possible. If that's okay. And then just a few of the things that I'd like for it to be on the agenda, and I can email these, whatever's easiest, but discuss the steps for design build RFP per Robert Hewitt. We had talked about that in the last meeting. Implementation of phase 1 of Lakeview Park Master Plan. Funding sources available to us, ARPA and or any other sources. Discussions on conversion of use, which was identified as an option in the report that we received from the U.S. Department of Interior. I'd also like to get a copy of the county's application that they turned in to that National Parks group. And then last but not least, discuss the Halloween trunk or treat movie night at the park. And I can email these.
Yeah,
if
get
that's
those to Charlie, because Charlie puts those on there.
I'm writing as fast as I can. Email. We're good.
Yeah, cool.
I got you.
You got the date for the
I do. I got you.
October, you got me.
Yeah.
Ann Northcutt, are you on?
You got me.
Yes, sir.
Can you get Squire Tracy, or can you get to the committee a copy of the application that was sent to the National Park Service?
Yes, sir, I certainly can. I believe I sent them a copy back when the application went in, but I'm happy to send it again.
Yeah, I thought you did.
And did you hear, earlier we were talking about the wash bay at the road department? You know if there's any grants out there for that, or could you check on that?
I'd be happy to look. Thank you.
Okay. Squire Muller?
Thank you, Judge. Kind of to piggyback on Squire Tracy there, just to let everybody know where we are with the Sports Commission RFP we put out. We did have a firm, it was a Hitchcock Group, replied to it. We're hopefully moving forward with it. You know, our county attorney was very adamant from the get-go that we go through the proper channels to do it the right way. So, you know, he's doing his due diligence right now to kind of look over those things so we can hopefully move forward and get that on our next agenda. So I too would like to request a park committee so we can keep the ball moving. So it's good. That's it.
And Squire, let you know, I got a copy of that as well. I've got some calls I need to make relative to some of the terms of that, so we can hopefully get that presented to court if it all works out. And as Squire Tracy just indicated, you all have some other matters that have popped up that you're going to have to address before the next hurdle that you go through.
Very good.
And good job.
Yeah,
thank you, sir.
No, thank you, Rick. I appreciate everything.
Okay, anything else? Okay, it's 7:08, well, 5 minutes, it's 7:13, we'll come back and go to vote session. So we're gonna go to recess till 7:15.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Recess.
thank you, thank you.
Dawn.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. Cable 10, Andrew, and 5, okay. Good evening. This is the Franklin County Fiscal Court video teleconference, regular meeting, September the 1st, 2022. Clerk, call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Here.
Squire Blackburn.
Present.
Squire Muller.
Present.
Squire Tracy.
Here.
Squire Booth.
Here.
Squire Moore.
Here.
Judge Wells.
Here. First item on the agenda is authorization for approval of minutes from a regular meeting of August the 12th, 2022.
So, second.
All right,
Flip a coin. We're good.
Squire Sebastian and Squire Muller. Okay.
Thank you.
call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, next item is authorization for approval of minutes from our special meeting of August the 22nd, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, next item is authorization for approval of minutes from our special meeting of August the 25th, 2022.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, next item is authorization to accept the resolution of the Franklin County Board of Health establishing public health tax rate in the year of 2022 for Franklin County Public Health Taxing District.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is authorization to receive the report of audit from the Franklin County clerk for the year ending December 31st, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is second reading and approval of an ordinance amending the table of special ordinances, Section 1, zoning map changes of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances for an 85.388 acre portion of property identified as portion of tract number 1, 84.058 acres plus or minus, a portion of PVA map number 087-00-00-031.00, and a portion of tract number 2, 1.331 acres plus or minus, a portion of PVA map number 087-00-00-031.01, located at 690 Duncan Road from Agricultural District AG to Industrial General District IG.
That's easy for you to say, so I'll make that motion.
Thank you for.
So you don't have to say that anymore.
I appreciate that.
Read it anymore.
Do we have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just want to ask Counselor Sparks. Yeah. So we're all very clear on what we're doing. Counselor Sparks, can you talk to us in regard to KRS 100.213? Just so we're all clear.
The statute requires under section 1 to approve the ordinance if you believe that it goes consistent with planning and zoning, or in the alternative, if there have been material changes, etc. And I know you all discussed section 1 and section 1B a few times at this point, and have attempted, I believe, to address, based on the record, your all's opinion as to zone change applicability. And I say that now you have to vote on it or not if you see fit. We discussed that, and I believe a copy of it is in your file. It was placed in the file previously with planning and zoning. We discussed it 2 times so far.
And so our decision is firmly rooted in that statute, right?
To the best of my knowledge, based on the amendments that were made and the findings of fact, you all are in a position to vote in your discretion up or down.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
I think this is a very exciting time in Franklin County. The city and the county both have master plans in process. And we've got an in-depth update of the comprehensive plan and the zoning codes. We've got that all underway. It's heartening to see and to hear from neighbors. We've heard strong, and I would really say palpable, belief, perseverance, and passion that they have on every side about this and other issues. We hear about those routinely. But in making sure that I ask Councilor Sparks what our charge is today, it's to reach a decision, I think, that's rooted firmly in statute, which is KRS 100.213. The wording is pretty direct, narrow, restrictive, that the map agreement, or I guess that the map amendment's either in agreement with the plan or it's not. It's one or the other. So I guess in this instance, the way I saw the map amendment sought the future land use category being where an employment center exists. And so to me renders this request to be in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. I think like all of us, none of us like how we got here. And hopefully through our comprehensive plan and the zoning update codes, we will, I guess, be able to focus better on issues like this, making those issues and our community's future really less uncertain, because we've talked so much about this statute in particular. So with that, I guess, that direct focus for me, it compels me to approve the zone amendment because of the statutory language in KRS 100.213. So, yes.
Okay.
Squire Blackburn.
Okay. As Squire Sebastian pointed out, she's voting on this based on her belief that is in agreement with the comprehensive plan. And it is directly in agreement with the land use map. But it's in direct opposition to over 70% of the comprehensive plan. And part of the problem there is because of the lack of planning for the last 20 years. We're in a position with other investment in industry that we have a lack of land that is zoned and ready and prepared to be built on because of this lack of vision. With the comprehensive update plan, that was my big push when I got onto the court. And with the zoning ordinance updates, that was a direct result of my desire to push our county forward to where our whole entire community has a voice. And hopefully these type of heated, battled discussions can be avoided in the future by the planning that we do today and in the coming year. And with that, I vote no.
Squire Muller.
Thank you. I'd like to read something I prepared. Smart growth covers a range of development and conservation strategies that help protect a healthy and natural environment and make our communities more attractive, environmentally stronger, and more social diverse. Over the past 2 years, we have seen how planning and zoning and enforcement needs to improve so problems like this one don't happen in the future. We have a developer that worked the system under the agriculture zoning. Did you know agriculture zoning has over 400 uses currently? We must do better and have our ordinances up to date and have local enforcement. We have a developer that burned a historic home with no consequences. All he had to do was fill out a permit and it would have been legal. We have a developer that ripped out mature trees along the property line with no regard for his neighbors. With no enforcement in our communities, these things will continue to happen. We must spend time updating our county ordinances and create enforcement. For multiple other reasons, he has not been a good neighbor. If we were judging this case on him being a good neighbor, my vote would be no. However, We are here to decide the zoning of this piece of land and how it fits with the land use plan. If approved, I would ask the planning commission that there is a substantial setback from any homes that touch the property, an earth berm created, multiple level of evergreens installed. I would also like to request that the engineer on the project over-design the water runoff plan. We need to make sure our neighbors in Woodford County and down Slickaway Branch don't have any issues in the future. I request that the county also comes up with noise and light ordinances before any development plan is approved. I think that would be good practice for us. My vote is yes.
Squire Tracy.
Per KRS 100.213, there have been major changes of an economic, physical, or social nature within the area involved, which were not anticipated in the adopted comprehensive plan, and which have substantially altered the basic character of such area. For example, Industrial Park 3 borders the property in question, neighboring industry and retail. Basic character of the area has been substantially altered. Water, one big one for me is water runoff has been addressed and is a point of emphasis. With that being said, I vote yes.
Squire Booth.
Well, I went to the Chamber of Commerce and told them that I thought the portion of land under consideration had changed. It was better than it was in 2020, and that I would support the zoning amendment. But then I drove the road, and the county is going to have, or the state, is it a state or a county road?
State road.
State is going to have to put a new road in. They're just gonna have to. And that was my major concern with it in the first place. Personalities aside, that was my first, because semis coming out that road, they're gonna take up the whole road. I know some people might disagree with me, but I think they're gonna take up the whole road. And I feel sorry for the people that are out there, especially in Woodford County. And so I just cannot vote for this zone change. I vote no.
Squire Moore.
My fear with the new comprehensive plan is that it'll make developments like this harder or impossible rather than easier. This should have been passed back in the first time it came to us. And I'm a yes.
Judge Wells.
Let me say this, I've been the judge going on 8 years, and I've been proud to be the Franklin County judge. It is quite an honor. This past couple years has been one of the hardest times I've seen as a judge, because this community has been fractured, and it's been fractured to a degree of trying to decide who we are. I don't know where this is going to go. I'll be gone, but I sure will be a voice, and will continue to be a voice on whom I would like to see, in my personal opinion, but that's neither here nor there. But what we're going to have to do is pull together, and we're going to have to start realizing that if we're going to continue to lower taxes, if we're going to continue to provide jobs, and I know that several of you have sat at this table and said, we need to have good jobs for our young people to be here in this community, we're going to have to develop land. We can't hide from it, we can't run from it, we can't put our head in the sand. We have got to understand that growth and advancement in industry and offices and retail and housing and people are going to be part of making this community better. We talk about the parks. We talk about expanding the parks. It's all part of the pieces of the puzzle to make this community grow and to be a better place. fighting the way we're doing and attacking each other the way we are all attacked and is not going to solve it. But working together is the only way we can get this done. The map, the road map, and I have concerns like you, Squire Moore, is the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan, like it or not, a few years ago, several years ago, had future land use. Future land use is a piece of what's going to happen in the future. That's what it is. Clearly states that this property is industrial property. And because of that, I vote yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes, okay. The next item. The next item is the first reading of an ordinance amending the operation of the County Fiscal Court, Chapter 30 Administrative Code, Personnel Administration, by adding a section for commercial driver's license, CDL, training expenses, and employment agreement of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances. The second reading will be on 9/23/22. The next item on the agenda is authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Kentucky Energy and Environment Cabinet Division of Waste Management for 2023 litter abatement grant funding.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
And somebody who gets out there and works with them, and we need this. So I'm a yes.
Squire Blackburn,
It's money well spent that goes right back into our community to keep it clean. It helps civic organizations, schools, student groups. I've been in 2 of them. I know Sebastian's been in several. And they do a good job. They'll even get down and dig something out of the ground if they have to.
They do.
I'm all for it, 100%, yes.
Squire Muller,
What Squire Blackburn said, yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, and just for a little piece of information that this, our solid waste coordinator has, we've had this program for, let's see, 8 plus 12, maybe almost 12 years, maybe a little less. And and you can see what has happened, where this has grown and what this is doing, and it's a great piece of the fiscal court thinking in the future and looking at what's down the road, and this is fantastic. If I asked Brittany earlier, and I'm thinking, and I don't know exactly, but somewhere they have secured almost $500,000 in grants for equipment in our community. That's fantastic. So, yes. The next item is a piece of this equipment. Authorization to approve a bid award to Earthwork Equipment, the sole bidder for a wood chipper in the amount of $45,206.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
It's not the earthworm tractor, but earthworks works for me. Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application to the Law Enforcement Protection Program on behalf of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office for body armor.
So moved.
Second.
Who seconded? Somebody? Okay.
Squire Muller.
Okay, call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application to the Law Enforcement Protection Program on behalf of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office for patrol weapons.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application for grant funds with the Kentucky American Water Program for the Franklin County Fire Department.
So moved.
Second.
I thought somebody might say to buy fire swatters.
There we go.
Yeah.
Fire swatters.
Yeah.
All right, call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
I'm all for fire swatters. Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Judge, you remember we used to have to wait 10 seconds to see if anybody would make a motion for anything? And this group has really picked it up in the last year or so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 10 seconds, you gave the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
Longer than that.
no, and I sit there and say, well, do I do it? Do I do it?
Thank you, guys. All right, all right.
Judge Wells.
Yes. Next item is authorization to purchase an additional fourth brush truck for fiscal year 22-23 from the State Master Agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
I'm going to vote yes for this, and I'm hopeful that as we look in the future, that we take into consideration how we can trade these in while they still have a good value, and kind of put them on a staggered basis for rotating out, which we need to do with our durable equipment. So I'm a yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Anything for the health and safety of our community?
Yep.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
With saving over $5,000 because of the price increase, I think that's the kicker for me, but I do look forward to doing fleet maintenance and things like that so we can do better, like Squire Sebastian said. Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. Next item is authorization to entering into a profession service agreement with the Bluegrass Area Development District, Bluegrass Ed, for land use planning services and technical assistance relating to development through June 30th, 2023. Helping our planning and zoning
I
department.
move that. We certainly need planning and zoning.
I'll second it, but should that say professional?
It should.
That's what I thought so too. Yeah, I was kind of followed by that. But that's okay. Yeah, everybody understands.
I second.
Okay, call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. Next item is authorization to approve a resolution relating to the 2022 Franklin County tax rates for real and personal property, aircraft, watercraft, non-commercial, and 2023 tax rates for motor vehicle and watercraft, and that tax rate is what was that? 1.18.
1018.
1.084.
Correct.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is authorization to approve a resolution relating to the 2020 Franklin County tax rate for insurance capital and bank deposits to be used for the general government. That rate for the insurance capital was 0.48.
First, yeah.
So moved.
Second.
I read 2020, authorization 2022. That's right, I like this rate.
Good motion.
We need chair in a second.
Okay, thank you.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Just one quick question, 0.048, correct?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is authorization to receive the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, the next item is payment of claims. Is there a motion to deny any payment of claim?
Well, we have one.
I'm going to follow up with the jailer, so,
Okay.
but I'm not going to deny that, but I am going to follow up.
Okay, good. I think you should. All right. Seeing none, the record reflects, order, it should be paid. The bill should be paid. All right, the next item is authorization to amend the agenda to add a closed session. Go into closed session.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Before I do, because when we come out of there, nobody will be here, nobody will be listening or watching. On item 7, some of us will be rated individual making an application. And I think that if you're a good neighbor, you'll find this man to be a great neighbor too. And he's a good neighbor to everybody else out there, and I think he'll be a good neighbor to the people that are against this. So, I'm a yes on this.
Okay.
Judge Wells.
Yes. The next item is authorization to go into closed session per KRS 61.810, Section 1, Section B, deliberations on the future acquisition or sale of real property by a public agency when publicity would likely affect the value of the property.
So moved.
Second.
Okay?
Squire Sebastian.
Yes.
Squire Blackburn.
Yes.
Squire Mullin.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna go into closed session. Thank all of you for being here tonight. We appreciate you're all out. You're all out. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, that's good, that's good.
Wait, come back after.
Yes.
Squire Muller.
Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Yes.
Squire Booth.
Yes.
Squire Moore.
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. Thanks,
Happy
everybody.
Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day. Thank you.
Every day.
Be careful.
Can I feel it? It's time we go into closed session before we come back and just all
Michael,
mess our
Scotty,
head up.
Charlie's out front.
I
Yeah,
think that'd
do
be
your
great.
outdoor recreation.
Thank you for this, Amber. I don't know where mine went. I swear I don't.
Oh, that's good.
It's probably crammed in all these
You'll
other
find it.
comments. Okay,
Yeah.